Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming. You have chosen to listen to another horrible review. As usual, we're going to start with disclaimers. First of all, we believe in a very raw and honest approach to our recordings. That and we're poor and don't make money off this yet. So our functionality is very janky. That in mind, you could hear weird odd pause like just now. You might hear my dog in the background. It's just is what it is. Disclaimer number 2, I do not give scored reviews. I do not believe in scored reviews for gaming. I think it's one of the most subjective forms of art. Keeping that in mind, what I will be doing is giving you an overview of the game, what it is. Then I will give you the pros and the cons of that game, from my opinion. And then I will tell you whether I personally will be playing the game after the use of this review. And finally, disclaimer number 3, I usually don't get a ton of time with this game. I don't get completely in depth with it. I get at least 4 to 5 hours, sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less. It's more of an everyman's take on the game, so just keep that in mind. If you want a really in-depth version, there are plenty of places out there that have the money to put into something like that. This is more of a, hey, are you an older guy with not a lot of time? This is the review for you. So, this last week, Sega decided to drop in a couple of titles to Games Pass, and for the first time ever, a Yakuza game is available on Xbox, and that is Yakuza 0. So, it is our duty to take a look, mainly because it's free, but I downloaded it, and you're about to hear what it is. So, Yakuza 0, I want to just say up front to everybody out there, I have never played a Yakuza game before. I believe this is a prequel to the original series. I'm not 100% positive. This has never been a genre that I've been very into, because it's always been on PlayStation. It's just nothing that I've been able to have access to. So please, if there's really diehard Yakuza fans out there, just keep that in mind and try not to take anything I say personally, because this is probably going to be a more negative review than you would want me to do. The game itself follows your character Kiryu and his partner Nikishima. Sorry, I'm not great with the names. Either way, they were orphans. They were kind of adopted and taken into the Yakuza family, and that's what it is. Then they get kind of set up for something that they're not supposed to do, and they get pulled into this, if you believe it or not, real estate scam. And I know you're probably out there like, what? I didn't think it was about real estate. It's about real estate. There's a lot of punching and kicking, though, so keep that in mind. The majority of the combat, it kind of is like a technical beat-em-up almost. Almost like a 3D version of like a Streets of Rage or whatever, but you move through kind of like a specific district of the city that's semi-open world, so you can go into stores and purchase stuff. It actually reminded me of Shenmue in a lot of ways, and we'll get to that. But basically, he's tasked with you have to kind of move through the fights of the game and try and clear your name. There are a lot of cool sequences with the speaking, but just keep in mind that there is no dubbing for this game. It is subtitled, and in the original Japanese speech, which honestly, I kind of prefer it that way. I don't love reading everything. That's a little irritating, but a lot of time dubs just kind of get it weird and wrong. So I felt like seeing it in its original form was the way to do it. As you beat people up, you will get money for it. I know. It's kind of weird. Like, in the fight, you'll be punching them and money will be like coming out of their face. It's very strange. But you will get money for it, and money is just everything in this game. It's how you buy potions to heal yourself. It's how you buy potions to stat buff. It's how you buy different outfits. And oddly enough, it's how you purchase new techniques. So he will learn fighting styles, which you can switch back and forth to, which is really cool. I'll go into that a little bit more in depth in a second, but each fighting style has its own like 3-pronged skill tree, which costs real world money for some reason for you to learn how to do stuff in it. So if you want Kiryu's health to go up, you have to buy a health upgrade for 40,000 yen. If you want him to get that new jumping up from the ground move, you have to put 30,000 into it. Now, the fighting styles themselves get mapped to the directional pad. I'm assuming there's more than I got. I was only able to acquire 2 in my playtime, the rush style and the brawler style. Now, what's really interesting about this is just right off the bat, the style gives you some sort of like advantage and disadvantage. So the brawler style didn't have any defensive capabilities really whatsoever, but he does more damage and has these wider, more powerful attacks. You can also grapple in it, which allow you to use like big, mega punch kill moves. Defensively, though, if he is punched, if you press the button real quick when he's punched, you get this timing window to like counter attack for heavier damage, but he's always taking damage. You switch over to the rush style, your attacks are really weak and fast. He can't grapple, but you have this like defensive quick step thing that allows him to like dance in and out of combat. I really enjoyed that. That was right off the bat, the fighting in this game, like, it took a little bit for me to kind of understand what they were going for, but once you do, there's a real feel of like really fun to play, hard to master sort of gameplay on that, and that's really entertaining. Kind of getting ahead of myself, that's more of a pro. In any case, you can easily switch back and forth between the styles mapped to your D-pad in combat, which makes for even more interesting like combo strings and attack strings. The voice acting is more than decent in this game. I will say the main character's a little heavy-handed, but this is a very Japanese game, so it comes with a fair amount of what I like to call anime bullshit, even though this isn't an anime, everything's very dramatic. However, the first bad guy you meet, I don't know if he remains the bad guy through the whole thing, Kuze, Kuze, his performance is wonderful and really got me through a lot of the heavier dialogue scenes, which we're going to talk about in the cons. So with all that said, I think we should move to pros and cons, and I like to start positive, so let's go to pros first. Pros. The fighting is phenomenal in this game. It's a lot of fun. It's not... It is kind of arcadey at times. There are times where your character just picks up these huge things and just wings them around like he's the Hulk. But it never... it's always like fast and fun and just has you in the moment, and I really enjoy that about it, especially the scenes where you're fighting like 10 guys. The very last scene I did, you fight through this HQ, this Yakuza HQ, just from one point to another, and the fight is incredibly well choreographed, and just you fight everybody, then you knock somebody through a door, you move to the next area, you fight a bunch of people, and there's a quick time thing that flows right into another fight. It's very well done when it comes to the fighting. And then the final boss that I got to fight, I really felt my blood just getting pumped up when I was battling him. It was a long, hard battle, and I really enjoy that. The fighting in this game is a lot of fun. It really gets you into it, and it really just sucks you in and pulls you in. Then, of course, I want to, one more time, give another pro shout-out to the voice acting. It's really good from the Japanese cast, but mainly from that guy who plays Q's. He electrified me, just had me pulled in on it, and I really enjoyed that, kind of like this subtle evil that he had going on. I think my final pro is going to be the upgrade system. The money is weird, I'm not gonna lie. That's very strange to wrap my head around, but I really enjoyed how much customization there is with your Kiryu. He could look completely different, and each fighting style you unlock has its own tree, which is quite big, and I'm going to try and get some footage in here somewhere where you get to see the tree itself, and you can unlock each fighting style's tree completely on its own. So there is tons of options for playstyle here, and that's probably the most interesting part of the character to me, is just the ways that I could tweak how he fights and how he takes on enemies. Okay, time to go negative. There's going to be a lot of this, so I apologize ahead of time. Alright, first, let's start with the fact that this game's dialogue, this game is so long winded. Look, I like story. I really do. I don't want people to think I don't. I don't want people to think that I'm just all about the combat or the shooty stuff and I'm skipping cutscenes just to skip them, but let me give you an idea here. I played this game for 4 straight hours. 4 straight hours. In those 4 hours, I was involved in 4 fights. The rest of it was exposition, long-winded dialogue, story on story on story, weird speeches, karaoke. Like, there isn't enough actual playing to, like, in any way, shape, or form, keep me involved or want me to get through all these huge dialogues. And the other thing is, too, the dialogues themselves aren't really put together well. They will be like 15-minute conversations that could be done in half the amount of dialogue, like if you were writing a tighter script. So I've got to get it a down here. I got to give it a con. I felt like the dialogue writing was not great, and way too long-winded. Like, even for a movie, this is long-winded. Like, for a TV show, it's long-winded. Like, it's just so much talking to punch a guy in the face that it really kept me from connecting with the game. And so much of the time was spent like, oh my god, they're still talking, that it kind of drove me nuts. I don't know if the next one is a con. I do want to say many times throughout this game, I was kind of going, what is this? The game really suffers from a lack of direction, I guess, or like I said, I'm sure there's fans out there and they love this game, and that's cool. You can love the game. I don't think it's for me, but at the same time, like, this game has these really serious, really dramatic, hardcore, like, acted out drama scenes where people are really, like, mean and stuff. And then the scene following it, this dude is just singing on a stage with a panda dancing behind him, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, the tone and theme of this is so all over the place. You will have these really dramatic, acted out scenes between the main character and this bad guy about, like, Yakuza life, what it is to be a Yakuza, what it is to betray a Yakuza. And then it'll go into these fight scenes where I literally pick up a sofa and just swing it around the room. It just took me out of it so much. I think maybe I'm just too old. Got the old guy genes, but I couldn't stay on the one or the other long enough to, like, really understand. And I also think there's probably a lot of throwbacks to the original games, if this is a prequel, which those are, of course, lost on me because this is the first one I've ever played. So, there's that to keep in mind. On the technical side, I have to throw one more con out in the fighting. As good as the fighting is, there's no lock-on. I understand that the lock-on kind of restricts your freedom a little bit, the lock-on mechanic of locking onto one target and switching between them. I understand that does that. If you're not going to have it, that's fine, but you have to have a really well-defined system for knowing who you're pointing at. There is a button where you get in a fighting stance and supposedly you'll target the person who's closest to you. Repeatedly, I pressed that button and my character turned around and faced a wall. So, it's not, the targeting on that is a little rough, and it doesn't always do what you want it to do, and it's not always clear who you're attacking. And that can get really rough in the bigger fights when you're fighting like 10 or 12 guys. You really need to know who you're pointing at. So there's that. Okay, I think that covers it. A little bit shorter than usual, but my last ones have been a little bit too long. So we're gonna go into whether or not you should whether or not I'm gonna stick with it, and it's an emphatic no. Again, I don't want to get down on the people who like this game. I don't even like to give negative reviews. I really don't. Because I think there are people out there that work very hard on this game. There are people out there who love this game. And those people shouldn't be belittled. And I am not belittling you. Every review out there is from an opinion. I am the only reviewer on this channel, so it's always going to be my opinion. So keep that in mind. But there's just too much dialogue to get to 5 minutes of fighting for me. And I'm not an action junkie, but if I'm playing a game, I play video games to play video games. I don't play them to watch video games. I just don't. There's just not enough interaction. There's no interaction with the story log in the dialogue. If they had even like a branching tree where I get to choose what I say, that might have helped a little bit with the dialogue. And there's no player choice with where your character's going to end up. I can tell that right off the bat. So there's just nothing to keep me in there other than the fighting, and there's not enough of the fighting to get me involved. Plus, like I said, thematically, it's just all over the place, and I don't know what to make of it. So that concludes my horrible review of Yakuza 0. Next week we're going to do 2 Point Hospital. And then the week after that, I'm super excited to go back to State of the Decay 2 and check out the Juggernaut Edition and that new map. Of course, you can check out everything Old Man Gaming. I'm not going to quote all the shows because we got a bunch more coming out. There's just so many to check out. But please check them all out if you got the free time. You can also join our Discord. We just started one, and I will, of course, include a link in the description below. You can also find us on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH, on Twitter at Old Man Gaming 9. Just a fair warning, I'm an old man and don't quite understand how to work Twitter, so keep that in mind. In any case, thank you everybody out there for watching this. If you disagree with me, of course, I want to hear from you in the comments. If you loved it, I want to hear from you in the comments. I want to hear from you guys in any way. Discord, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. We love you guys. We love doing these shows for you. And we're going to keep doing them as long as you guys keep watching and listening. So we'll see you guys next week on the review for 2 Point Hospital.